it's questionable for me if I'm going to stay in the middleweight division because it is taking a toll on my body and it's showing. I might have outgrown the middleweight division and I might take my talents to super middleweight.
Was Jacobs robbed last night? That is a question I have for people who are listening to this video. Was Jacob robbed last night? My answer is no. I had Canelo winning by at least 2 or 3 rounds. Jacobs didn't do enough. He came in heavy like he did in the Triple G fight. And I don't know, that slowed him down because in some points of that fight, he had his moments in this fight. But in some moments in this fight, his jab looked lazy and slow. He wasn't as fluid as Canelo was. In every era, we have 2 or 3 fighters that are good but not great. They always come up short in big fights. And I think Danny Jacobs is one of those because he did the same thing in the Triple G fight. Even though the Triple G fight was much closer than a Canelo fight. I just think Canelo's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And I love Terrence Crawford, but he's been frozen out of the welterweight division. Basically, the PBC has given him leftovers to fight. So he really doesn't have the stage to show his skill set like we want to see it. We see a good portion of it because we know Terrence Crawford is a great fighter, but we don't see him against like the elite competition in the welterweight division. It's because they froze him out. They ducking him. They'll talk all this smack about him, but they won't fight him. But on the other hand, Canelo has access to everything because he's pound for pound king right now, and he's pay-per-view king. You know, so he's more likely to get the fights he wants than not. I mean, he can fight the Charlos if he wants to. PBC's not going to turn it down because it's a big money fight. Now, I listened to the IBFP this morning, and I looked at AB Boxing, and they both said Oscar De La Hoya has offered Errol Spence $20 million to fight Canelo. Will Al Heyman take that money? Will Errol Spence take that offer? This is what he wants. This is how you become a pay-per-view star. You got to knock off the top guy. And Canelo is the top guy right now. If I had to handicap this fight right now, Canelo destroys Errol Spence within 6 rounds. Errol Spence does not have the advantages he has at the welterweight division. He doesn't have the size. He's a little taller, but that's it. That's what he banks on in the welterweight division. In the middleweight division, Errol Spence is just one of the boys. On his post-press conference, Danny Jacobs said it's time for him to move to 168. He cannot make the 160 middleweight division anymore. And I think it is too. He's getting older. He's 32, will be 33 pretty soon. Yeah, I think it's time for him to move up. I think at the 168, he has a better chance to get another title. Canelo rules middleweight right now. The only title he's missing is Demetrius Andrade. And that fight would be happening in September if Andrade wasn't fighting in June. So I think that's a good move for Danny Jacobs. And I kind of figured it was hard for him to make the middleweight division, but that's no excuse. He was clearly outboxed last night. So there's no excuse. He's been having this problem for a minute. Not just this fight, but a couple of fights he's been heavy. In the Triple G fight, he coming in a little heavy. So that's no excuse. Canelo clearly won the fight, outboxed him, skills on a different level. Now you see Eddie Hearn, which is his promoter, what else is gonna say? Yeah, he got robbed. He's his promoter. What else is he gonna say? And you got these partial channels on YouTube that said Danny Jacobs was robbed. Clearly, if you're watching the fight, Danny Jacobs didn't do enough. So what's next for Canelo? We know Danny Jacobs is moving to super middleweight. Next for Canelo, I think it's probably Triple G. It'll be a big money fight on DAZN. We know DAZN needs to get their money back, and that's a very lucrative, marketable fight, a trilogy. The 2 fights were good, and a third one, and this time I think Canelo washes him, smash him, stop him. But we shall see. Triple G has a different trainer, and Jonathan Banks is a disciple of the Gronk Gym. So we'll see what happens there. He's not just a disciple of the Gronk Gym, he's also a disciple of Emmanuel Stewart. On a different subject, can you imagine if Emmanuel Stewart had Deontay Wilder? I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna digress there. R.I.P. Emmanuel Stewart, one of the best trainers to ever do it. Well, we know that $20 million offer to Errol Spence from Golden Boy is gonna be turned down by Errol Spence and Al Heyman. So that fight is not gonna happen. I think it'll be Triple G and Canelo possibly in September. Jacobs moving to 168. Hopefully competes for titles at that division. Anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Jay Beasie, please subscribe. I'm out.